And I'm so glad to be the moderator today for the Release and Become conversation. It is a very, very, very needed conversation, right, guys? Ladies and gents, because we've had a lot of trauma going on since hold on for a second, since the okay, my screen keeps acting crazy. Since we've had, this is just 2020, just a really weird year. So we want to take a pause and have a conversation because we've had a lot of things going on. It's tumultuous times. We've had a lot of uprisings based on, just uh, the racism and the coronavirus and, having to do everything on Zoom and, all the trauma related to having to make these types of changes in our lives to still function and shutting down. And some people have lost their jobs and some people have gotten new jobs and unemployment. I mean, there's just a lot going on. So today, I think it's a very apropos time to have this conversation. So I wanted to talk quickly about what this is so that we kind of know what these conversations are going to be doing going forward. So welcome everyone. And if you want to, if you're here, you can throw your questions into the chat. You can throw your questions into the chat and we'll take some time to get to those questions at some point. But let me just give you a quick tidbit on what this is. Release and Become is a conversation which is an interactive series that's going to be featuring global visionaries that choose an array of creative modalities to make change. So that's what we're doing today. We're talking to some of these visionaries. Hold on for a second. Are we still there? Yeah, I want to make sure. Are we hearing me? Okay, good. This is the inaugural release of Release and Become, the conversation series, which will highlight. My screen keeps doing something weird. Which will highlight. Why is my screen doing something weird? Hold on. My screen's doing something weird, guys. Hold on for a second. I don't know what's happening. Hold on for a second. Okay. Why is my screen doing something weird? Hold on, my screen's doing something weird.
I can see you just fine. So you don't have to worry about it.
No, but I might, yeah. I keep, hold on for a second. I'm trying to minimize that. I'm trying to minimize that while I read this. So I wanted to talk about what it does. So Release and Become is a conversation series that will highlight, art, design, community, healing with the founder and partner of Spread Design and Innovation, creator of a global open innovation project, Sonia. Am I saying your name right? Manchanda. Manchanda, and visual artist Al Johnson. And of course, moderated by, I call myself Moi. I'm a journalist. My name is Lisa Durden. And so I just want to jump this conversation off right and let's just get it started so that we can have time for some Q&A. And I read a lot of information about this entire conversation that was actually started by Barbara Bullock. And Barbara Bullock, just to give you a little quick tidbit about Barbara Bullock has been on the front lines as a social innovator for many, many years. She's done many things, so look her up online, but she's done many things around cultural transformation. She's a catalyst for change. And she actually started this project in and around social change with her book in the same namesake called Release and Become. So do pre-order that. So let's get this party started, because, the coronavirus and all of these types of things are bringing us together in many ways. It's not just separating us. And so we want to just start with some questions to our two individuals. So Al Johnson, Al, and Sonia. We're going to get that started. I'm trying to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. I can't see my screen a little bit. Okay, so what I want to do is pose the first question. When we talk a lot to creatives, we don't really get to learn how you began your interest in the chosen field that you're in. So how did each of you choose to be a part of design and art and using your design and art as a healing modality? Because people don't see artists that because they look at art as something beautiful to look at, but art can be healing as well. So we can start with you, Sonia, then we'll take your point of view, Al.
Thank you, Lisa, and it's wonderful to be here. And I'm really happy for Barbara, and she does incredible things. And this book is yet another incredible thing that she's doing. So when she asked me to be a part of it, I was like, sure, anything for you. And we met briefly in New York 10 years ago when I was giving a talk at Parsons School of Design, New York. And she popped in there and we became friends and we've stayed friends since. And we've always talked about her coming to India. But see, it took a pandemic to bring us together, again. And so those are some of the positive things that are happening, that we are finding creative ways to connect with each other as we are in this moment. And so for me and design and healing, I think it's for me, the whole thing started from this idea of the fact that you've got to be a dreamer. You
Mm.
know, if you're a dreamer, and it's not somebody who's got the head in the clouds, it's somebody who sees possibilities. You see possibility. You're no longer a victim then. When you're a
Mm.
dreamer, you're no longer a victim, right? So you see possibilities, and it could be in any scenario. It could be in school, it could be in class, it could be out there in the world, it could be anywhere. You see possibilities. When you see possibilities, you're inclined to be a creator. So for me,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm not somebody who was a lot into drawing or painting or any of that. I did write poetry. I did look at things and wanted them to be better. I did question. I had a lot of questions. I still have a lot of questions about why in a country like ours, why do we still have inequality? Why in a world like
Right.
ours do we have inequality, right? So from those questions, you have these dreams and you think of, oh my God, what if all this could be better? And then it makes you a creator. You're no longer a victim. You lay out your own path, and you're healing things within you. These are problems that
Mm-hmm.
you are there within you, and you're solving them. And when you're solving them, you solve them for the world as well. And many more like you together. When you come together, and that's, for me, that's the genesis of the Dreamin' Project, where a lot of people who are dreamers, who culturally, I mean, Barbara and I have nothing to do with each other. There are people from
Mm-hmm.
Brazil who were part of the project. There were people from China.
Mm-hmm.
Culturally, we're very different. But what unites us is that we see possibilities where others don't.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
what's important. That's the most beautiful thing about art and design. That you're not just sitting there and saying, oh, I'm the victim and look at what the world is doing to me. No, I know how to solve this. And I go out and I at least try. I may try once, twice, thrice, 4 times, 5 times. Eventually,
Mm-hmm.
create, I'll find my own way to solve it. So
Yeah, I
for me,
think I
I'm
agree. I
just
think that
getting
when
my
you're when
I'm just
oh
getting
great.
my sound. I'm just getting the
Oh
sound. So
yay, Al
now
got a
it's
sound.
I'm in there.
Yay. I'm glad. Okay,
I
good.
wish
So
I had
I
the
was worried.
background like you guys, but
Listen, this is
yeah.
the time of the new technology. Zoom is the new hot dogs and hamburgers. It's become the standard. Baseball
Yes.
and hot dogs, so not a problem.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you're there. But I do agree with Sonia that the creativity is very important. Especially when you're trying to express yourself, and I think through the art and through design, with creatives, your voices are heard. So Al, why don't you take a stab at the question I was asking Sonia? I don't know if you were hearing, but you couldn't speak. Um, how has your chosen field of design and art acted as a catalyst for a healing modality for the art that you share with others, or the art that you actually create for yourself?
Well, first, in order for me to save others, I have to save myself. And basically, painting or just being creative anyway in any case is yeah it is a modality in my own right, to as a way of breathing. You know what I'm saying? Like if you were to put me in a room with just dirt, I would find a way to make a mark somewhere in that dirt so that it's part of what how I exist. Um, but I am definitely connected to that power which I share with others. And I believe that once people, you know, look inside themselves and just make these discoveries as we go through this process, it's a valuable thing to be able to separate yourself from the things that's going on around you and in the world, and to find your own little portal within yourself and it is beneficial, definitely.
You know, in the time of so much unrest, you know, we've had a lot of conversations around marginalized groups. We've, you know, Sonia talked a little bit about that, where she is. We've had a lot of conversation about around racism, and so I wanted to kind of massage this next question around that piece, and ask both of you, why do you believe that design is important in marginalized communities at all times? Because I'm of course a Black woman, and I live in a Black city, Newark, New Jersey. And I see that no matter what's going on, right, marginalized people are always at the end of that rope. Because even when you looked at the coronavirus, you know, marginalized people got the coronavirus more. We died more of it, and these things. There's always more happening to marginalized people, no matter what's happening over the decades and decades. So if you can take a step back, then we'll start with you, Al. Why do you believe that design is important in communities of marginalized people in particular? Black and brown people, to be exact. We're the most marginalized.
I think it's part of the human instinct anyway. You know, to always find a way to survive, even through art. I mean, every decade there's something new that you know brings us to the next level, but yet and still there's the path from behind, that the foundations of design have something to do with just about everything, right down to, you know, from the pencil to the building. It's you know, it's part of our thing. I mean, during the first part of the pandemic, I do remember how I felt and what I did. First of all, I felt like the fact that I had to stay in and not go outside and so on. It's so weird. I mean, you know, it's something out of a Twilight Zone feature. But what was good about it was that my own instincts told me to, okay, look, I don't want to lose my humanity here.
Yeah.
The value of touch and the value of connection with the human conditions. It's constantly I had to find a way to stay in touch with people. So I also opened up a Zoom account, and I would daily do exactly through my video what I was expressing through my social media, which was, you know, today's a good day to create. Today's a day to get, you know, like, don't be blocked by a blank surface. Don't be blocked. Know that your best work comes out of that first mark that you make, and how you build that mark to be something more comes through a discovery mechanism that's within yourself. You just have to be open to accept it. You know, a lot of times I might be working on something, and when I feel that it's time to do something else or something more to it, or there's something missing, there's like, okay, I'm going to make a discovery here. I'm either going to screw this totally up, or I'm going to open a new door to perhaps bring more. You know, and that's just my thinking. But
no,
honestly, it is true that
no, I understand that.
art. I mean, well, yeah, art and design. Without those two things, it just is. We have nothing really. You know, we'll become stale within the same soil we're in.
I agree.
Lisa,
Sonia, did you want to share your thoughts?
so, Lisa, I believe that design is fundamentally human-centered. So, I mean, it starts from people and what what change they want, you
Mm,
know. And when we're talking about marginalized communities, that's where we need designers. We
mm,
need people of design coming out of there. You
Mhm.
know, so
Yeah.
even here in the Indian context, the weaver's son doesn't want to be a weaver, you know, and the artisanal is losing that value, which is already there's already art and craft in the DNA, but the next generation doesn't want to be a designer. But only when you're a designer and you're of the community, you can come from the outside and you can immerse in a context because design starts from immersion. It's like getting into the
mm.
water. Only when you get into the water, you understand what are people's real problems, what do they want. If you're not from a context, you'll just miss the cultural nuance. You'll miss the insights. If you miss the insights and you're designing a solution, the solution is obviously going to be wrong. And that's half the problem with the solutions that are created because they're created by people who don't get the nuance, you know. So they don't immerse, they don't have the right insights. When they don't have the right insights, they don't have the right intention. When they don't have
Exactly.
intention, they don't have the imagination. When they don't have the imagination, they can't create new and big dreams. That's another eye, which is inception. Create a
Hmm.
new dream that comes from within the people and propels them forward into the future, and it's got to come from within. It cannot be top down. And design's problem has been it's been top down. Somebody else is deciding what's your problem, somebody else is creating the solution, but that person doesn't understand what's the solution you really want, you know and that's why I think, I mean, it's completely important in marginalized communities. I mean, you have designers in Africa today who are creating um, garments from tree bark, you know, because those
Hmm.
techniques existed. You just
Long
have to
before.
create a new narrative. You need to fine tune it, craft it, put it out there, and to be able to create impact. So really, at one end there is intention, and at the other end there is impact. That intention comes from immersion.
Hmm.
In my country, we have Gandhiji, who's the biggest, Mahatma Gandhi, who was the biggest apostle of peace. And the biggest lesson he left behind was the fact that, I mean, he went abroad, he became a lawyer, he wore the white man's clothes. When he came back and he wanted to understand how to change things in our country, the first thing he did was he dropped those clothes.
Hmm.
Quite literally, actually.
No, that's very interesting because I
And then he started to understand and walk their walk, talk their talk. But it's from that context that we need
it's
designers.
the nuance. It's the nuance you're talking about.
I'm talking about
Yes.
the real insights, not the superficial knowledge. You know, it's not what they're saying, it's actually what they're saying when they're saying something. What's
Mm.
really there. It's not what's on the surface. So that deep nuance can only come from people who've been there, who know
Mm.
that, whose feet have stood there. They didn't just look at it from the surface and say, oh, I think we need to do this. you
Right.
know and
Right.
and that's why we need the designers right from those communities. And design, for some reason, has been exclusive. We cannot keep it exclusive. It's got to be inclusive. It's got to be
Absolutely.
functional. We need a design revolution. In Buckminster Fuller's words, he says the only worthwhile design revolution in the world is the comprehensive anticipatory design revolution, because it's peaceful. It's about everyone being able to go out there and change the world. And I
Mm.
don't know why we don't get it. I mean, why are we not teaching every child how to design? Because you know what? He or she already knows it. We send them to school and we take the design out of them. So,
Mm.
but what
Mhm.
if we don't
Mhm.
send them to
Mhm.
school and just make sure that there is design in them?
Mm. Yeah, you know, that's one of the things that I came to learn and appreciate uh, was the fact that my parents never discouraged me from creating art. I was fortunate that both my father was a musician, and my mom, she, you know, she would sing, or I think she played, she did play the organ at the church. But the thing was that both of them, whether individually or collectively, even they encouraged me to stay creative. Like for instance, sometimes when I would get in trouble, my dad, my dad would say, "Go right up to your room. Go up to your room. Don't even come down. Go up to your room." And I'm stomping, walking up the stairs. You know, like he's always on me. And then I thought about it. I says, "Wait a minute, my comic books are in there. Oh yeah." And I had little sketch pads and so forth. But I mean, I had a way of isolating, but also elevating, going out into my own atmosphere. And, then they would call me and beg me, "Come on down, you got to eat, man," but,
Don't tell us the bad things you did, because we don't want to know right now, because I'm getting scared.
Oh, no.
Hopefully it wasn't too bad.
No, it wasn't. It was too bad.
little mischievous, the kids do little mischievous things.
Exactly.
But
exactly.
to your point, when we were growing up, I have old school parents. My mother passed away in 2007. My father's still alive. So to your point, that goes back to nuance and culture. Like in the culture, even if it wasn't something like music, or it wasn't something like drawing, when we got in trouble, they made us do things that actually, for punishment, that actually built those kinds of skill sets. We were able to use our imaginations, and we played little games. And when we were stuck in the house because we were in trouble, we played teacher, and we would draw, and like all kinds of things.
Hey, I could do
and
magic. I could do
make
magic in the
songs.
backyard with a switch.
Exactly.
That mean with a stick. My grandmother called it a switch, but
And
it was a stick for me.
my parents would get mad that every Christmas they would buy us all these expensive toys. Just by the third day, we're playing with a rag or something. We're more creative, not like the man-made toys. So
Exactly.
nature tells us we're creative. So that's really interesting. And you mentioned peace, Sonia. I wanted to kind of get into the peace thing, because, I can't speak for everyone, but I think that we can all agree that this time we're in now, not much different from times we've been in before, but this time in particular is a time where we're all trying to figure this peace thing out. We're trying to search for peace, either inner peace, outer peace, peace with others. And it's just hard because we're having trauma because things are shutting down. We're having trauma because things are not, business as usual. This is the new normal, as they say. So I want you guys to shed some light on, what does a culture of peace look like, even in a time that like coronavirus, or a time like the Zoom world? And how does your work fit into this piece? The Black Lives Matter has become like the thing now. They weren't feeling it in 2016 as much, but now it's painted on the ground. And most people are sending emails saying we're down with Black Lives Matter. People are kneeling. Football teams are kneeling, baseball teams are kneeling, basketball teams are kneeling, everybody's kneeling. We have these allies. So where do you find, your center when it comes to peace, and how does it look as it relates to the work you're doing? Did it have anything to do with what's happening now? Is it something that you've always been doing? Talk a bit about how your work intersects with peace, intersects, and how you can help others to see how art and design can be that place that they can find peace.
You
So,
first.
sorry, you want to go first?
You first.
Either one could go. Yeah, Sonia, you can go.
Okay. So, peace fundamentally, I mean, where there is no acceptance of the other, where it's got to be either black or white, and no gray, no color, that's where there can't be
Froze a
peace.
little bit.
So I mean, peace is where there is acceptance and there is understanding, where all the colors, where there are many, like look at our food, it has so many colors. You don't question it, you don't question every color has a reason for being there. So to me, that's a parallel to sort of art and design and peace, where it's possible for a lot of things to coexist, and you accept them from your heart and not so much your mind. From
Okay.
your mind, you may not agree with a lot of things, and but from your heart you accept them. So in our work, for instance, in this time, let me give you a specific example. We were working with a school which is a fundamentally Islamic school, and it was a bunch of women who, whenever they took their children for admissions, were told that to a Christian school, because there's a lot of Christian schools in my country, and they take them there and they would say that, why don't you have your own school? And so these ladies decided to set up a school, but just because it was the first such school for the community, it became an Islamic school.
Hmm.
And but they didn't want that. They wanted the, the children to integrate with society. So we did some work with branding. We made a film, we made a song, we brought in the parents, the teachers, the students, the leadership all together in what we call participatory design. you know so we create the environment. We sort of we seed the conversations, so that from those conversations new meaning can grow. And then we rebranded the school, and now apparently they are getting admissions from other communities. And we created a song there which was, I mean, which is deep in my heart, in my oss. It's called oss. I'm free to be happy, free to be open, free to this, and free to integrate. Free
Mm.
to integrate. So, and the children loved that. So it wasn't about this or that. It's that
Mm.
I can be free to be me, but I can also be free to integrate. So in our work, I mean, this is how we try to, through participatory design, create that ground. you know Even in very deep and important work, for instance, we're doing work in around behavior change, around waste management, sanitation, water, very urgent issues in our country, and we're doing work in the
Hmm.
rural areas with the government of Karnataka. And when we do this work with the government, we look at the children being the biggest agents of change. We
Of
include
course.
we look at local artists and we create artwork. We make the medium the message, we make the walls the message. And
Hmm.
thousands and thousands of artists are taking ownership of the message we've put out. They have complete freedom to modify it and paint it up on the walls and own change within those communities.
Mm.
So what
That's
we're doing is
awesome.
creating the ground. We're creating the ground. It's participatory design. We include them. We get them into workshops. And the first time we did this, actually, I mean, as designers, you want to, whatever you're creating to go out with a certain quality. So my team, I mean, who had created the graphics, they wanted them to go out, and we were looking at how can we create stencils, how can we put it out. And then it wasn't us; it was somebody from the department that is working on this who said, why don't we get local artists to do this? It would give them employment. We were like, boom, this is what we need to do. We need to hand it over to them. Let them make a mess of it. And giving that over is very difficult, when your whole team is,
Abs- Absolutely. I can imagine.
because only when you give it to them will they be able to lead the change.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it's about celebrating those colors and accepting the other. And
Hmm.
for us as artists, designers, creating the ground for that creative activism, being the change agent,
Hmm.
catalyst. You just go in there and you make sure that things mix with each other very nicely, and
Hmm. Hmm.
everybody moves together positively. It's not this
That's
or that, it's not me or you, it's us, and we all move together, and society changes for the better. And it's so much fun that somewhere there you forget your differences. There's play in it.
right.
you know.
Right. We do forget to play. We do forget to play. Right. And art is about play as well. So it's interesting that you mentioned that. Because we're so busy being busy,
Yes.
doing what we do day to day. Yeah, so that's we have to forget not to forget that. So if you're chiming in and you want to pop in a question or comment, let me know, and I can just kind of, grab those in the chat, and then make sure we ask the artist. So Al, so how are
Yes.
you? Do you feel like there's an intersectionality of culture and peace with your work? Or do you feel like, she said it's not one or the other. How do you feel about your work in terms of culture and peace? Is there an intersectionality there?
Well, definitely there is. The connection there is. Um, Come to think of it, I ran a workshop in North Philly about 2 years ago, and the workshop was a combination of preschoolers and senior citizens.
Oh.
I left out the whole middle section, the teenagers and so on and so forth, because basically on
Mhm.
the onset of the introduction of this, they were occupied with their phones and so on, and there seemed to have been a camaraderie between the the youngster, the youngest, and the seniors. It grew because of the respect between the mother, like a mother and a grandmother and a grandson or a
Mhm.
granddaughter.
Mhm.
Even though they weren't related, the thing is that
Mhm.
the the process in the process I found that this was one of the ways that we could bring the community together,
Mhm.
because of the fact that you have to get those two entities, um, connecting. And art
Absolutely.
was the common thing that they could, one would want to impress the other, and the other would, the seniors felt good that they were able to, to participate in something that connects them with the children. And then it grew into the teenagers, and so I had a multi aged group, and a lot of good things came through that program. you know
Mhm.
we just needed funding, to get more materials and so on,
Right.
and that was a program I did
And
through
and see, that's the thing with the
yeah.
arts. I wish people would get that, right, Sonia? I mean, Al. I mean, do people get that we need? Oh, it just drives me nuts.
Yeah,
So we,
yeah.
Ah!
I mean,
My oldest student was 93 years old, and my youngest was 7. So
Wow.
you see that there's a connection there.
right here, I'm gonna
I'm saying funding, to your point. Like, we need. I'm saying we people don't get that to make these things happen, to keep
Mhm.
these things going, to keep those creative juices flowing. We need funding, and I don't want to say that what they call STEM is not important, STEM or STEAM, but they push a lot of things, because I think people feel like it's valuable to science, math, and all of that, and that's great. But they took art out of the schools a lot. Like, art is important, and to your point, art is everywhere, design is everywhere you look. And if you don't even think about it, it's there, present. And
Mhm.
things that you guys have mentioned in your work, everywhere you go all over the world, it's there, present. And if people like Sonia and Al and your students and these young ladies in India are not doing this, the elders, you know, I don't want to see what the next 10 or 20 years looks like. So that brings me to, like, what inspires you in general, but also what inspires you to keep going with the struggle, because the struggle is real.
Mhm. Yeah. Well,
That's a two-part. What inspires you? What inspires you, but what inspires you to also continue in the struggle, whether it be
uh,
whatever, funding, or whatever the struggle happens to be for either of you.
well, I get a kick out of knowing that I am part of something that someone else is benefiting from.
Mm.
Do you understand?
Oh yeah.
There is. the art has all of the components, science, math, all that. It's all combined. It's somehow it works in there. But I'll just say this. I remember
It's freezing a
I
little bit.
created a study with this workshop, and I asked everyone to just focus on what's your favorite color, and I want you to paint just your color on this canvas. And they would, and you can paint it any way you want to, but I just want the whole canvas to feel the sensibilities of what you're feeling through this color. This is a color that is about what you love. And I got everything I wanted out of that experience, because what I was trying to do was to at least have them to try it. Discovery is another thing. Like some people said that this color, I don't know about this color. I want to do it over again, but something about this color. I said, yeah, there's something about that color. It's telling me more about yourself, and you're going to make more discoveries. So paint more on other panels. Don't discard that. That is the color that you discovered or you created in that moment. Now grab another panel and put down another color that you feel. If you're sad, if you're happy, or whatever. And it was a good way of relaxing for both of us, the student as well. It melted that ice of like them feeling like they had to do something to impress me with, or to show, to express to me. I want them to give me your honest and truthful, and that's the another thing is the honesty. The honesty is also part of the emotion that they created from. So yeah.
Nice. So what is your inspiration, Sonia? And if you want to expand on that, even in times of struggle, and what does that look like for people to get an understanding of that?
Al said one was this entire thing of bringing children and elderly together. And I'll ask him here, and I'll ask you to be a part of it. We've done something that we call dream catching, where they understand the dreams of each other. And I think I would love to do that with young people and older people and see what that's like. I've created a tool which is a dream catcher. So you inspired me to think like that, of bringing those two generations together, because the interaction between them is always so beautiful. And the other thing that you said about honesty, I mean, I also completely believe in, well, two things. One is authenticity, and the other thing is just positivity. You know, um, unless you're really dying or something terrible has happened, there's no reason to take anything seriously. You just keep creating, and every moment is new. So what inspires me most, and I think I would have gone crazy otherwise. I'm just full of ideas all the time if I didn't live the way I live. We live in a mini farm where things are growing, and when I go out every morning, early morning, the morning inspires me. That's my space. I don't want anyone around. It's me and nature and light, and as it falls on the plants and the way they grow every morning and they interact with each other, sort of depend on each other, engage with each other, and just grow and surprise you every morning. And it reminds you, I mean, which you can very easily forget, and I can, because before I lived like that, I did forget a lot of the times that every moment is new. You sit
Yes.
there and you lotus open. You watch the lotus open. We forget that the universe is moving around us until a butterfly comes and goes right in front of your eyes. Or if you're sitting outside, one day I was sitting with my daughter, and the lotus was opening petal by petal, like that. And it's almost like your heart opening. And
Yeah.
then it closes, and it opens every day, and it closes every day. And in nature, things do get created, they do get destroyed, and it's new and fresh every morning. So I mean, nature does that. It inspires you. When you're with it, you realize that literally every moment is new, and in that new moment it would be just so dull if you weren't taking it up and creating something new if it comes from within you. It has to come from within you. I don't know
Yes.
what if somebody is forced to do a creative job. I really have no idea what that would be like. But I think for those of us, and from, I mean, for anyone who finds their creative core and makes things from that, you're just doing it because it's beautiful and you'll give it away. Every time I do something, I give it away. I make a brand, I create something, I create an experience. I give it away and I love to see what happens with it and see it grow. It's like giving your child away. You don't have to sort of keep hounding them and sort of looking after them. And that's the power of creativity. That creativity, your own creativity itself inspires you. It takes you closer to the creator that you made something and you gave it to someone or you did something with it.
I agree. I think which I'm very glad that this conversation is happening because I've been knowing Barbara for a very long time. And I actually hit Barbara up about a week or so ago and I saw the book come out and I'm so not the peaceful person. I'm a city gal at heart. I don't want to see snakes and nature except at the zoo. So, because I'm so used to the hustle and bustle. But when I had forced myself to do this peace thing, not officially, but unofficially, those sort of things happened to me. Just the other day, I'm shooting a documentary, so I put my camera out there like at about I couldn't sleep, so I had put my camera out there to shoot the sunrise at about 5:30 in the morning. I saw the oranges and the white. I've never ever in my life seen a sunrise because I don't have time for that. I don't want to be watching stuff like that. I'm busy. So because I'm trying to get some transitions for the film, I made myself look at it and it was just beautiful. So I never thought about that. So when I saw that she had this book coming out, Release and Become, I'm thinking, okay, what is this about? So I read a little bit about it and I'm thinking this is what we need, particularly now. But then when she decided to start this conversation, I thought even better. So if you're out there listening, please, order the book. It's amazing. I ordered my book already, but I think I want to go into a little bit about some of the goals she had around healing emotional wounds and all of those kinds of things. She's been on the front lines of innovation for years, and she's been a catalyst for this kind of cultural transformation forever. I've been knowing her for a long time, and I call her like Yom K Rain. She does yoga and all. Like she really is intense, when it comes to that. But just Barbara's always been very peaceful. So the book isn't shocking me because she's always been. When I talk to her, it's just there's a peace about her. So all of the things you're saying, I see in her, and this conversation with you tells me that this is an important thing for us to have, and she's really believes in it. So that's why this conversation series is happening. So I hope people can get a lot out of it who's watching. So I wanted to go into some further discussion around. So I said all that to say these kinds of things is what she's hoping can help to heal. So I want to talk a bit about healing, so all of her goals hopefully will lead to that, including these conversations. So where's your, the space that you use or the space that you like, or where do you go when you have this scared, a scared space for healing, or a sacred space for healing, like a sacred space where you just kind of centering yourself and being able to heal. I mean, some like a little therapy, that's fine too, but we can't do therapy every day. We can't afford it. So what can we do? What can you share that can help us through what you're saying, maybe incorporate some of those things as well?
I'll say this, Sonia, don't mind if I go first this time. The little things in life become so important to me personally. Like for instance, every studio that I've acquired over the years, I'll say in the last 10 years, I remember I used to have a studio where there were no windows. Mm-hmm. And I had to rely on the light that, the man-made light in there. And that studio was, believe it or not, was in Harlem, because it was, I was in the basement part of the building. I did force myself to create even still in that environment. And I do know that the next studio I had was was on top of a building, like a rooftop. So I knew then that that connection between myself and the natural light, something enhanced my work. And so my last two studios always had perfect windows. Like the studio I had in Philadelphia, I had 11 windows circling me in a L shape kind of thing. I remember exactly what I did before I would start working. Would be not even just work, just to enter that space with no sound, to sit there and be still and allow an acceptance of the light coming through. Is the way the shadows would go across the room like this here. The emirates from the light going from like a light blue to even a warm yellow. This acknowledgement had a calming sense about my approach to how I would deal with things in that space the rest of the day. When my mother passed recently, I remember going into my studio, and for a moment I didn't think about it anymore, and I remember laying down on the futon and looking out and trying to figure out what time it was. This is how the evening went through, and there was that morning light that kind of like a Jacob's ladder just came across the room like this here. And that's when I really, really had the sense or the feel to see her in the clouds. Just as in my mind, but I mean, it gave me, it took away the sorrow from her passing. It meant it was the notion that she was there and she's watching me, and it was calming me as well, because I knew now that she was on the other side. I know what she's talking about. I'm on the other side. So this as far as finding peace, because I was extremely angry, because I couldn't go upstairs to her when she was in the hospital. I couldn't get upstairs because of this COVID thing. You understand? My mother passed on April 14th. And, it was one of those situations where, it's like I had to calm my sister down, because we both felt like, that we wanted to be next to her, knowing that she is dying, and to be there, just to show our appreciation and all that. We didn't get a chance to do that. So I immediately went to my studio and just said, I absorbed within that moment the notion that this was her way of connecting with me.
What is your sacred space for healing? Because we talk a lot about healing and trauma particularly now. So is there a sacred space, or you just are doing it all the time, Sonia? I live alone, so I have a lot of alone time when I'm quiet, so I don't officially do anything, but I do love when I walk into my home that there's always peace, which I feel healing. I don't argue with anyone. I don't debate with people. I don't have to negotiate what we're going to watch on television and what's for dinner. I mean, just being able to move around in my space as I please is healing for me, because when I walk out into the world, I don't get those decisions. So that's how I do it. So how do you do it, Sonia? Where's your place?
I wish I could say that, but but
Yeah,
managing
place of healing.
managing home, managing my family, managing, keeping an eye on my father, keeping an eye on everything. I'm just like this mother, available all the time. So for me, it's got to be my yoga mat.
Mm.
When I don't do yoga, I actually get a little bit restless and perturbed. And then when I do yoga, and I realize that we all have this monkey mind, and it's going all over the place. You're carrying all
Mm.
these tensions in your body,
Yeah.
and I have to keep bringing it back to the mat. Forget about everything for now. Just forget about it. Just let it go and go into another day, go into another body. Just focus on yourself. So just bringing your attention back into that little space. And if I can do it with natural light, if I can actually, be where I'm alone and doing it, what it does is, I mean, like what Al is saying, we just don't, and for you, Lisa, this is for you.
Oh,
We don't,
I need any help you can give.
don't realize what nature can do for you. I was a girl, I was restless, always restless, never feeling rooted. And then we moved to the middle of nowhere. And I thought, I'm not going to survive this. This is a crazy, stupid decision, but we grew roots. I'd never had roots. My parents were both generals in the army, my mother and my father. So I was never meant to be a creative person. So
Hmm.
I learned
Hmm.
a lot of discipline from them, but for me, that was not me. I was just restless all the time. And then suddenly, when you connect, you plant trees. In our place, we've planted over 100 trees, and you can
Oh,
see the
wow. That's amazing.
and you think, the trees will go to the next generation or go to somebody else. But we've been fortunate to see time in trees. You can see, oh, this one was planted so many years ago. This is how big it is. And it was in the middle of nowhere, but what it does for you is I mean, it's indescribable. And then to be able to bring it back, so that's my sacred space. Without that, I wouldn't be able to do anything.
Hmm.
Oh, that's great. Now, it's about 10:03, so we'll go a couple of more questions. I'm looking to see if we have any questions in the chat. No questions so far or comments, but certainly if you guys are out there and you are participating and you're enjoying this discussion, by all means, please throw in some questions in the chat, or if you have any comments to share. And I'm sure at some point they'll repurpose the video and put it out there in social media so you can check it out as well. But so that's, yes, I need that, and I can't imagine, Sonia, I can't imagine being in a place like that. But like you said, you couldn't imagine it, and then it became a part of who you were. So I know that I would survive it, but I would probably freak out. I went to Tennessee one time to do a speaking engagement, and I was at the Alex Haley farm. And so the next day I had to speak to a bunch of kids, and they literally had no television in there. I freaked out. I don't always watch TV. I just need the noise in the background. I'm like,
Mm.
I'm not gonna make it, but I was able to make it. I had to start doing some chants, but it did work. I had to
Mm.
force myself to settle myself. So you guys are helping me a
I
lot, and those who are
I want
watching.
to I want to I want to add something
Go
to
ahead, add that.
what
Add that. Then we'll
I
take a
want to
couple more
add something
questions.
to what we've been speaking on
Yes.
here.
Oh God.
Okay, so some of you might be thinking that, well, it sounds like you just get someplace and you just don't move, you just be still.
Right.
Um,
Right.
no, it's just there's there's a method that I use when I go into my studio. I assume in my mind, I I have to assume in my mind, no, I do not want to know exactly what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it. I do not want
Hmm.
to know. I
Hmm.
really I would appreciate my efforts by allowing certain things to happen.
Hmm.
This allowance can um, give us a greater reward. Like for instance, when I have a blank canvas in front of me, I'm automatically trying to conjure up exactly what is the value in this piece that I want to bring out. Am I going to take this approach as something being very minimalistic, or is there a directive, a message that needs to be conveyed in this piece? All those things, I can't spell them out in the beginning. I can only set myself to be open to what decisions I make and not force myself to, if I find myself trying to constantly push on something, it means that it's time for me to be still, and the answers will come. They will come. They always do. So
he took me to like one of the questions, and you can pick up here, Sonia. He took me to one of the questions I was going to ask anyway, where we think about music in many different ways. We love music for entertainment, we love music for fun, but sometimes it's cool to use music or sounds, and you already kind of answered it yourself with this interjection in the conversation, but you can take this piece as well, Sonia. We in the case of peace and healing, we use music a lot of times. Little do we know, to find this peace in this stillness within the music, in the silence of the music, and the focus on the music. So talk about how music or sounds motivate you to prepare or to create, and do you get someplace silent, preferably, when you're utilizing this other art form to inspire your art form? And so you can talk about that, or does it happen at all?
No, Lisa, actually, I talked about a certain allowance, right? So I think there's been a certain difference between art and design. Now, art gives you a certain allowance, a certain freedom, a certain space, whereas design gets too caught up with functionalism, structure. It's too much mind. You And art sort of allows you heart. So when he was saying that, I was just thinking to myself that maybe we need to drop a bit of the functionalism and go a little bit more towards the soulism,
Yep.
not so much about function, but about soul. And, you know, and that maybe that will help me also answer your question about music. For me personally, I like music um, that is comes from philosophers like someone like Kabir or Rumi. It's Sufi music, but it's jazz. You know, very Eastern. It's very Eastern, but it has the structure or the beauty of say jazz. Like I like music from Istanbul, where a lot of cultures come together. So if I were immersed in some music, that's the kind of music I would like, where a lot of contradictory things come together, perfect harmony, and somewhere there is truth and beauty in it. Right now, I'm completely fascinated by this Jerusalem phenomenon. I'm sure you've checked it out. I mean, it's incredible. One guy somewhere, he likes a beat. He calls his sister, they make a song. Somebody in Angola does a choreography. And why does he pick up on it? Because he thinks it's so spiritual. And it becomes a worldwide phenomena. I mean, that is a phenomena that was completely born in COVID times. The Jerusalem Dance Challenge. You have healthcare workers doing it, airline operators doing it, tourism doing it. All kinds of people are doing it. I mean, that is the power of art and creativity and music. That it's not just that very soulful beat, something spiritual with even in this time it lifts you. And that's the power art and design have. And this is the moment where we need to get away from that functionalism and maybe learn from that music, learn from Jerusalem. I keep showing it to my team saying, our work should be like this. It should just change you. from within.
Yeah.
Inspire you, make you pure, make you positive, make you feel hopeful about what is possible. I mean, music should do that.
Yeah,
Well,
they say
that's
they do say music soothes or calms the savage beast. So I totally agree. Alan, then we're gonna take two more questions,
yeah,
and then we'll share what we're doing next, and we'll be out of here. Go ahead, Al.
yeah. This is the time. This is the time that we're in right now,
Yes.
where all of those items that you just mentioned, Sonia, the music,
Hmm.
the art, the visual, the dance, all of these expressions,
Hmm.
this is the time for it to happen.
Hmm.
We have no room for any doubts. You must clear that thought that comes from within.
Hmm.
And so, uh, this is the best time for us to also recognize, our soul. That like
Yeah, like she
I'm going
mentioned
to
earlier.
just give you a real brief situation.
Okay.
I had the opportunity to to um, to to engage in a venture with an entity that I took the time to vet, and this entity was coming at me with all of this offering and financial stability. All right. But this entity is connected on the other side to something that is negative. Like
Mm.
they're doing something that does not agree with my path or the people around me, or it doesn't bring
Hmm.
it just shows that they are very selfish.
Mm.
So
Mm.
with that opportunity, the financial stability, I say, go away. Can't. I can't do it. And even when I thought about it and it seemed like it could happen,
Hmm.
and something like you say, a red flag goes up and you
Mm.
stop. That stop was for a reason. And what was discovered and how I stay within my zone and be okay with that. Be okay with that, because it's like some people feel like, oh, they want to do this because they want to make money. Well, yeah. Well, what are you gonna do? What are you going to do with all this money that you're gonna make?
Hmm.
How will you be happy with this money? All this money that you're going to make. Look at Mr. Trump. I'm sorry, but I had to bring
Oh
that name in here. You
no,
know,
these are the
he
times
can't
we're in.
possibly he
Yeah.
can't possibly
Yeah.
be happy with all the money you got. He
Right.
can't possibly. You
Right.
see what I'm saying?
Right.
The money does not make your happiness. Your happiness makes you money.
Right.
If you're
Right.
good, if you're really good,
Right.
if you're really true with it, you can be
and and and
happy.
and not to use the title of the book, but like I said, I hit her up when I saw the title of the book. I'm like, I needed to get this email. When I texted Barbara. But again, you're both are saying exactly the title of the book. Release and become is basically what you're saying. Now
Exactly.
that's great in theory. Now I struggle with what you just said, but I force myself because I know what you just said is true. I know what you just said is true, Sonia. But if we're having these conversations and we're talking to individuals like yourselves, and we
Mhm.
see it, maybe if we take those baby steps towards some of these things and some of these little tidbits and ideals you're giving can be helpful. Because I know that if you have healing, if you have peace, money will come if you're good at what you do. But you can't be good at what you do if you don't have peace and healing, because you can't center yourself to be good. You're so busy, doing this. So to your point, I totally agree. We're gonna hit some last two questions. So thank you for that. And if you guys are listening, try your best to incorporate what they're saying, and just take it a day at a time. And when you get a success, do some more. That's how I try to change behaviors. Um, the question I wanted to talk, and it's sort of similar. They're all kind of interrelated, if you will, but let's talk a bit about food and housing and economic disparities. And how do you think art, culture, and design can can participate in this fight for this equity in those areas. We have food insecurities, housing insecurities, all kinds of economic disparities, particularly with Black and brown folks. We don't have a whole lot of generational wealth. So we can talk about that, and then the last do is talk about what you guys have next. So let's do these last questions, and then we'll close out the discussion. So I'll go to you, Sonia, first. This is really, to me, an important question to tackle.
Okay, so it goes back to creating, when the systems fail you, when the top-down systems fail you need to create inside-out systems. Inside-out systems and the ecosystems required. You need these new ecosystems, and as I was saying, you can't have any doubt in this moment. So, I mean, our theme for this year we put down as DARE, which is design, act. Okay, so become a creative actor, have responsibility, have the ability to respond. To be a creative actor. So everyone should be empowered to be a creative actor. You may be an artist, you may be a designer, but are you, well, a tree-shaped person? You're growing all the time, so can we create more programs with design, innovation, creativity, entrepreneurship? Those are the things that are important, where people are able to create their own destiny. Their own destiny when the systems fail you. And you cannot do that unless you dare. Did you know a group of slum children from India won America's Got Talent? And they're called Be Unbeatable. These are children who did not have food to eat, did not have shoes, and they come from the slums. Okay, and they actually they developed a habit of overcoming, and that's what made them come this far. So it's got to be inside out systems. Create the platforms, create the systems. People like Barbara, you, Al, me, we all have that responsibility to get people to sort of design these new systems, to act fast. We don't have time. Act now. Act now. Reimagine, reshape, regenerate. Integrate better with our natural world. Grow food where you are. Relate to that earth. It will look after you, because those other systems that were designed to look after you, they don't give a damn about you.
They really don't. Yeah.
Busy saving themselves, right?
Yeah.
So then you create the systems yourself. So create new systems to educate, empower, enable people. We have to do that. And those new systems must have art in them, must have creativity in them, must have innovation in them. So to me, to solve some of the problems, we need to create our own lateral solutions. We cannot, we cannot, obviously something failed, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't have the problems we have.
Right. Did you want to touch on that a little bit, Al, about all those systems, the food system, the economics, and how all that, needs a whole lot of it's just a total mess, really. It's a total mess. So how do you think that art and culture design can help to participate in this fight for this equality that's so needed?
Well, in my belief system, there is a point that one gets to once one becomes opened. And opened could mean that you will seek, or it will seek you. In other words, I myself am a drummer. I play percussion instruments, like djembes and so on. And so when I'm around other drummers, it's not just my conversation, it's our conversation that we have. Because drums in the beginning were not used just for dance. The drums were used as a communication device, like, for instance, from one tribe to another. You know,
Mhm.
if there's another, if there is someone approaching one, or there's a need in this camp that other tribe has, they will play a particular rhythm that tribe will understand, and somehow there's a connection. So when I'm playing the drum, I look for a
Could you
spot
freeze?
where I
Freeze? Can you
fit in,
freeze?
and
Okay.
to fit in to a format of how a communication is done is one person speaks, and then the next person speaks, and the next thing you know, we're all speaking within rhythm. And there's that same analogy I'm asking others to apply that to your life. Like, number one, you cannot fake playing this instrument. You have to be sincere. So, you know, to have a conversation with someone, to go other places, to do other things, you have to be open to that, to be honest. Like, I'd rather say, look, I really don't know, and then to try to impress upon someone to think that I understand something that they're saying, or to do something that they want to do. So the message here from me is to be open by your honesty, and you will find your spot where you fit in. You know, by listening and by being honest. Those things, what will occur is that your placement in the equation can happen. The more you the more you try to push people into one direction or another,
Mhm.
you will get some resistance.
Of course.
And so, you know, for myself, this is what my experience has been like, and this is what I share with others around me that, you know, are looking to, you know, grow intellectually, but more spiritually first.
Nice. So the last question we're going to tackle a little bit is something fun. We're trying to find out what you all are doing next. Anything exciting coming up for you guys, that you can share, that we can partake in, or go to, or see, or watch? It's all about the art and design, of course.
Mhm.
Let us know what's going on, guys.
You first.
What's as you know, remember the old TV show, What's Happening? I love my
Okay.
sitcoms. So what's going on
Yeah.
with you next, Sonia? And then we'll take you, Al.
Mhm.
Okay. So one of the things is that we started a course in design strategy and innovation,
Oh,
and
that's not awesome.
we started that in the last 120 days or so. And we actually dared to actually go out there and start this course along with a partner in education. And we have a really bright, it's a dream cohort. It's the kind of people we wanted. They're all professionals, but they wanted to also understand strategy. And we got them what we call industry dares. So they're doing like some massive projects. They're doing, somebody is doing something for Microsoft, somebody is doing something for Amazon, and they're doing these real world projects and we're guiding them through it. It's meant that we've given up, my team and I, we've given up a weekend of ours over the past couple of months to, and so have they. We've all given up our weekends to be able to learn this and create solutions. And the grad show will come up soon,
Mhm.
which is entirely online. So the course is online, they're meeting online, they're working online. We have somebody from Lebanon, somebody from Dubai, and mostly people from India. And for me, it'll be a lot of hard work, which we'll see the proof of when we see their grad show. And then it tells us, boom, this can grow. We can make this available to everyone. We can do amazing things with this. So I'm excited to see that. And on a side note, just as a fun project, I got myself a black magic camera, and my daughter's an amazing singer. She's just 13 years old, but just for fun, because she's so good with her singing, we professionally recorded a song and we're making a music video. So
Nice. Very
so
nice.
some creative things and very useful things. And amongst a lot of our projects are around change. I have an incredible set of people I work with who are very committed, and we look at how design can create impact. So
Mm.
collectively, we're all just, there was no lockdown for us. I mean, we were working from home, working from wherever. We've all just been plodding away, working on significant stuff with design, and we're very happy to sort of have the opportunity to do that.
Nice.
Very good. Very good. Very good.
Well, what's
Yes.
next for you? What can we
What's
look forward to? What's happening, man?
all right? All right. All right.
Uh-oh.
I
A
gotta
lot.
divulge. I gotta divulge my secrets now.
We want them
Um.
all. We want them all.
All right. Well, first of all, let me just say this. During this pandemic, um, I've made a lot of discoveries about myself as well, but more so about where we are as a people, as a nation, or let's just say as a human, because my center of my universe at one time was to exhibit my artwork in a gallery. And during this pandemic, people are not really going to galleries much.
Right.
The galleries are not open, basically. So
Right.
this internet has become our new Main Street.
Mhm.
And so I was thinking about it. I said, when people go to my website, they only can see the image, the digital image. I wish that they could see more. Like, I want them to be able to, like, almost be able to touch the surface and feel the texture, all those layers of paint from all that time that it took to create this one piece. Or how about just to be able to see how it hangs, how really big it is, and not how small it is, because we're looking at it through a phone or looking at it through a computer. So I decided that I'm going to create an environment that works very similar to the I can't tell you everything. I could just tell you what the end product is going to be. What the end product is going to be is it's I'm connecting with collectors and art patrons and bringing them into a space which we call the art supportal. And the art supportal is not just about me, it's about art. And so I am creating a platform for artists to share their work and show it in a way. See, I can't really tell you all the details, but I can tell you just the sum of things. And it's a way that the viewer can now connect with the artist and connect with the artwork to see it at all different angles as if they're in the room with them.
You're
So
saying it's going to be interactive. It's going to be interactive.
not so much just interactive. I'll just say it's interconnecting,
Okay.
because the viewer, the viewer will get an opportunity to look on the artwork and the way that we're going to zoom in and zoom around it and so on. And the way you'll be able to get a real sense of the scale, how big it is, and what the texture looks like. So to make a long story short, what I've done, because I have a film background, like I worked in the film industry for many years as a storyboard artist. So I created the storyboard, and it's going to seem like you're in the Matrix. And basically, the viewer is going to get an opportunity to get close to the artwork and see it from different angles as if they're in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, the idea now is that we're trying to service those folks who can't have the same experience like they used to, which was to go to a gallery and you meet and have conversation with other people, and you're looking at the same item. To have things presented to you in this way, and the way I'm putting it all together, I had to bring together the right people to do this, to accomplish this, and to present it as well. So that's the project that I've been working on, is building what will be known as the Arts Portal. You'll hear about it.
Okay, well, we just did hear a little bit, so I thank you guys.
I can't tell you everything because
I know.
Man, it
you
makes
know,
me,
you know the language out here. We want to spill the tea. We always want to hear the tea, but no, that's just enough to keep us hanging on to look for more.
Yeah.
That's not a problem.
It's to give support to the artist.
Yes, of course.
It's to give the support to the artist. So it's a platform just for that reason, to make that connection. But it took a bunch of really crafted and experienced people to be in a situation now to where they have to do this to survive as well. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, for instance, the person who is presenting this is a person who normally works in a gallery. She's a excellent marketer. She's a marketing person, and she loves talking to people, but you can't connect with people unless you make a platform for them to connect with you.
Well, we'll stop that right there. And
yes.
So we went a little longer. We started a little late, but I want to thank everybody. So before I thank the other folks who were a part of this, I want to thank the people who came in to watch and listen to the conversation in an interactive way. We had a few attendees. Some left, but some are still there. Alice, Andrea, D'Angela Napier. I know her. Hey, D'Angela. You have Donna, Hildegard, Jayanti, if I'm saying the name right, Jayanti, Kritika, Yasmin or Yasmin, if I'm saying it correctly. Hey, D'Angela said, hey y'all. I'm from the South originally, so I say y'all instead of you all. So we thank you for coming, and I just want to say that I was so privileged. I feel so privileged to have been asked to be the moderator for something like this, because I'm constantly searching for this kind of thing just as a person. So I felt so honored to be here. So I want to thank you all for coming. By all means, please get the book. The book has a lot of little gems in the book. The book is called Release and Become, but also too, there's going to be a series of conversations that are going to be happening. But here's the website for the book. B dash, not underscore, B as in boy, dash Bullard, BULLARD. I'll put it in the chat.com. And if you do /store-1, it'll take you right to the book, but you can just go right to the website and you can go that way too. I'll put it in the comment section for everybody to get it. But if you do it that way, you can get the book. You go right to the book. And I got the book. I'm going to devour everything in that book because I think it's very needed now. I want to thank Barbara Bullard. She is the author. I say author of the book. And I want to also thank the founding partner of Spread Design and Innovation, creator of a global open innovation project, Sonia Manchanda, and visual artist Al Johnson, who were here for the entire hour and change. Yes, I like the peace signs. I appreciate it. Look them up and check out their bios. We wanted to get things started. And I look at this as it is a lifestyle. Trying to become is a lifestyle. So let's do that. Now, we're going to have a good person for the next conversation. The next conversation will include Anwarul Chowdhury. Am I saying that right? Anwarul Chowdhury, the United Nations ambassador and the founder of the global movement for the culture of peace. Again, peace seems to be one of the intersecting things, which we can never have too many conversations about that. So if you're here now, join the next conversation. It's going to be another great one. Otherwise, It's about 10:35 in the morning. We can all run our errands now. Well, then again, we're in the COVID. Don't run errands, just stay home. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
I'm Lisa Durden, by the way, just in case you didn't know. I'm the moderator. Have a good
Yes,
day.
Lisa. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you.
No, thank you. It was a wonderful conversation. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you,
Sonia.
Sonia. Thank you, Al. Thank you, Sonia.